Please pause the video before continuing so that you can fill out the pre-video survey for a chance to win a $30 gift card from Amazon. The pre-video survey will provide us with information that we can analyze and understand what people know about genetically modified seeds on average. So let's begin with a bit of an intro. Genetically modified seeds have only been around for around 40 years. Tomato could have a gene from a fish so that it'd be able to better withstand its conditions. And that is what you can see how many different types of seeds there are. And the idea is to be able to apply this technology so that people in different parts of the world can all eat the same thing with the best quality, with the best sustainability for a large population and a growing population. Monsanto is the largest producer of genetically modified seeds. They own around 90% of the world's market and almost 100% of the US market. They're illegal in the European Union, and they're only now beginning to be accepted in Africa. The reason there's such a big controversy about genetically modified seeds is because many believe the idea of editing something that was created by God, for example, is sinful or unaccepting of God, or that it's unsafe because it's going to cause cancer in a couple of years, or it's going to kill you, cause your allergies, or it's inhumane. There's a huge part about inhumane cows, like those cows that in Food Inc., I think, were mentioned, where they're grossly overweight and just eating their own shit. So, how they're made. They're actually pretty simple. The idea is simple. There are essentially 4 main steps. The first one is to find the trait you want a plant to have in the future. So, for example, soybeans and corn. Soybeans, 90% of soybeans are genetically modified nowadays, and corn in the United States, a huge percentage of it is. So farmers had a big problem with the fact that they use herbicides to kill weeds and other things, like they also use insect repellent to prevent plants from dying. But the big problem was that using all these chemicals would also kill plants, and so they wanted chemical-resistant plants. And so they sought out to find soybeans and corn's genes that would be able to resist this. So they had to find an example naturally. So by accident, Roundup Ready herbicide, which some people use here, they found that there's some bacteria and plants resistant to the chemicals, and so voila, now they have an example of what to study. So after you get an example of what to study, you isolate the gene, and when you isolate the gene with tools like CRISPR and other really expensive tools that these companies like Monsanto have developed, you then need to insert this gene. And so as you can see by the image on the left, this image displays agrotumefaciens, which is a kind of like a Trojan horse. So the idea is you need to insert this gene into this plant, and the genes that you want to replace and cut out of the other plant with this Trojan horse. And so you are able to insert new proteins into the plant's chromosomes, which is step 3, as you can see by the image on the left. And then you've got DNA inserted into the plant, and the plant now regenerates. And so you need large batches of these plants that they create, because you need to choose out the winners and not the losers. So you keep cross-pollinating, and then at the end, voila, you have Roundup Ready resistant, glyphosate resistant plants. And so this is the idea is that there are 4 main steps. You isolate, or you figure out what you want, you then find it somewhere, an example, then you isolate it, and then you insert it. And then finally, 5th step could be counted as you mass produce it. And then when you mass produce it and find winners, you have got perfect seeds. Now, there are many benefits to the seeds. We'll mostly talk about Africa, where recently countries like Kenya approved the usage of GM crops. And so, as you can see by the image of the map, like you have many of the developing countries like Egypt, South Africa, Burkina Faso, Ghana, all commercializing. And so the problem in Africa is that there's not a lot of food. There's lots of droughts, not a lot of rain in most places, and you need food. Seeds is mostly what they eat is plants, not cattle. And the best thing to do is to have drought-resistant or efficiently using plants. And so in Africa, that's what they've been developing. Very efficiently water-using plants. And they need much less water. Like corn, before the genetic modification, as you can see on the right, this corn is like dead. Like no one wants to eat it. Yes, someone's going to eat it because there's no food, but it's not really good. And so the idea is that you have better resistant plants. Then in India, in the 1970s, there was a huge problem with food. There was a huge drought. The country was starving. And 5 jumbo jets of genetically modified wheat was brought in by the new prime minister, I think. But since then, they barely had any food. The country was saved, essentially, from starvation with genetically modified seeds because the seeds were able to grow in such poor conditions. And so now, 30, 40 years later, you have India being one of the largest exporters of wheat. And their economy has grown 9-fold. Their population has doubled. Yeah, so it's amazing. They've become a major exporter. And in the US, for example, genetically modified seeds have helped the economy because farmers in the whole world, their biggest problem is high yields, low cost, right, and crop survival. So genetically modified corn survives at a higher rate. They can produce more in a smaller area. There's more calories from genetically modified corn, and more importantly, they use much less weed killer, less pesticide, much less. 8 million more people a year are now fed because of genetically modified corn, and in the US, $44 billion more in farmers' pockets. Now there are like good things, there are also bad things. Genetic diversity. So, for example, corn is a staple crop in the United States, but in Mexico, corn is almost like a sacred crop because they have over 120 different varieties of corn, and we have this corn in the United States being grown all over the place, and corn needs to pollinate, and so it goes into the wind, it spreads out, and as you can see here, genetically modified grass, it spreads out over a certain amount of miles, but it doesn't matter. The idea is that it spreads out. Genetic diversity is what's being threatened because genetic diversity is the total number of genetic characteristics in the genetic makeup of a species. And so corn, in Mexico's example, they ban all types of genetically modified corn because they want to preserve their corn. Because genetically modified corn is so good at what it does, it dominates the farmland, it dominates the terrain, and so when it comes in contact and pollinates with a non-GMO, it's dominant, and so you have loss of wild maize or corn. And so loss of genetic diversity has become a huge issue. The good thing about it, though, is that there are seed banks around the world that keep seeds of all different types, even of extinct species, so that like in case of an emergency, we have seeds available. And so in Russia, there's a huge seed bank, and in the United States, and there's one like in a rock in the middle of Iceland or Norway. Just be safe. Everyone's got some seeds. Everyone's got a seed plan. Now, there's also direct problems, not with nature, something that we can say, haha, who cares? Here, their studies are technically illegal unless you are allowed to by Monsanto or the producer. Don't ask me, it's the U.S. justice system. So, as you can see on the left image, this image is of the intestinal wall of a non-GMO and a GMO-fed rat. These are both rats. And essentially, the idea of rats is that genetically modified seeds are hurting the intestines and the stomach lining of rats fed. So here, it's like GMO potatoes. Potatoes aren't technically seeds, but they're similar style. So essentially, there's excessive cell growth of potential cancerous-causing conditions. So I don't know technically if it causes cancer. It's a huge issue because there isn't, like, you're not allowed to study this unless you're allowed by Monsanto. But Monsanto's not going to let some who knows who study their stuff and maybe potentially like make a claim that it's unsafe and then shut down their whole operation. It costs them so much money, like billions upon billions. And so safety isn't a very big priority in some activist views of Monsanto. Now on the right, you see a child. This child had an allergic reaction. Now the allergic reaction he had, or she had, was to genetically modified seeds. The idea is that the child had allergies to one of the genes inserted to the food, or from, like, so let's say it was a gene from peanuts into, let's say, bread, or so, not bread, corn. And he ate this corn, and somehow, so the remnants of the genes are still in the system, and so this caused an allergic reaction. Again, it's really hard to do any studies for official findings because, like, one thing's being said in the courtroom, the other's being said in the science room, and those in the science room are put in jail or, like, shut down. So it's really hard to actually know the truth. The Irish potato famine occurred in 1845 to 1852. We've all learned it in U.S. history, in world history. The effects on immigration, death, like it's a different type of starvation. It's where crop failure was the leading cause. Just crop failure, virus hurt these potatoes, and since potato was made cropped, the potato crop was completely wiped out, and many people died and starved to death. So genetically modified potatoes could have replaced these potatoes and potentially saved millions of lives and prevented many from emigrating. So many people have been saved from starvation because of GMOs, and many more, whether they like it or not, rely on them, especially in the United States. Like, you may see all these signs on, like, you go to the supermarket and it says non-GMO milk and non-GMO potatoes, apples, yada yada. Like, they say that. But the idea is that at some point, the way our food system is built and how air travels, like, the genetically modified seeds in Texas will, like, at some point, will travel to New England and be planted there, and someone's going to be sued by Monsanto, for example, because the seed appeared in their law. It's a ridiculous law system. So we really need to fix this law system. But we also need these genetically modified seeds because people in Ireland would really have loved them back in the 1850s and 1840s, and people in India really liked them in the 1970s and now, and people in Africa are using them. Like, as I conclude, most of the food one eats today has some traces of GMOs, and although they may not like it, they're not dead because of it, and probably will not be harmed by it either. The fear that GMOs overwhelmingly cause cancer in humans has not been proven, but it may be. Like, the opposite has not been said is false. There are rare instances of specific GMOs causing cancer in rats in certain studies, but they're probably outliers, although they might be real. The research isn't there, like the data isn't there. Has become a reality is that GMOs have led to more sustainable farming with better and healthier crops and to the ability to make many more famine-preventing crops. GMOs and genetically modified crops have so far produced many more definitively positive results for humans than negative ones. And so I want you to understand that genetically modified seeds specifically aren't going to kill you. You're probably going to die of obesity or a heart attack or something genetic. Now, in the future, they may say something that you were eating that was genetically modified could increase your chance of having heart disease. Well, I'm sorry, but I can't prove that to you right now. And so, could you please now fill out the post-presentation survey? I've concluded my rant about genetically modified seeds, and I would really like you to fill out this form, both the first one, the pre and post presentation surveys, so that I can have enough data, my group can have enough data to be able to present to our class and to really understand what people actually listen to in the video.